Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new version of my developer interview series. Number 9, number 10, I guess I lost track of that, but I'm pretty happy to welcome Antoine today. So, hello, Antoine. Happy to have you here. How are you?
Fine. Hello, Marcus. Thanks for the invitation. It's nice.
Can you do me a favor and introduce yourself a bit? Who are you? What are you working on? Yeah, just
Okay, so I'm Antoine Sabot-Durand. I'm working at Red Hat as a senior software engineer, and I'm co-spec lead on the Java EE CDI specification with Pete Meir, which is the other co-spec lead. And we started the work on the new version of CDI a few months ago. I also have in charge the work about the development of the CDI community, all the project using CDI and make the specification shine.
okay.
And I'm also...
For what do people actually know you? I mean, you're quite new on the CDI specification, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm quite new on the CDI specification, but I've been a contributor on a lot of small projects before going to CDI specification. In fact, I start with the father of CDI, which was SIM, the SIM framework, SIM 2 framework. So it was in 2007 or 8, I don't remember. And I did a lot of projects with SIM 2. And I'll also bring a few contributions to SIM2, the documentation and other stuff like example. And when the framework SIM2 stopped to let place to CDI and the SIM3 project, I was a contributor on the SIM3 project on one module, which was a SIM social module. And with the history going on, the SIM3 project shut down and became part of the Delta Spike project. For a lot of kind of reason, I took SIM Social out of SIM3 because it wasn't ready to go to Delta Spike, and I created a new project called Agorava, which is a CDI framework used to ease development on a social network to consume content from Twitter, Facebook, and etc. And I continue my contribution to the CDI project and other project around CDI, like the Apache Delta Spike project. Other project like Arcelian, which is the testing platform for Java EE and other stuff. So when I joined Red Hat 18 months ago, Pete proposed me to take the co-spec lead on the CDI specification because it was one thing I wanted to do. I was part of the expert group for CDI 1.1. I didn't have a lot of time to work on it, but I watched the work on it, and I was very proud that Pete wanted to give me the opportunity to lead this new specification. So I started with a maintenance release on CDI 1.1. So I delivered the CDI 1.2, which will be the official CDI API that will be delivered in supported server. So for all the supported server like GBoss AEP7 or WebLogic, the CDI API in those servers will be the CDI 1.2 version. And in September, we started the work on CDI 2, which normally should be delivered in 2016. Cross finger.
Right. End of 2016, actually. It's going to be part of Java EE8, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be part of Java EE8, but we hope to deliver earlier than E8 because one of our targets in CDI 2 is to add in the specification the support of Java SE. So we'll have we will stay in the Java EE platform, but we will provide a way to boot the CDI container in Java SE. So there will be two ways of using CDI. So we won't be tied anymore to Java EE, even if it's part of Java EE. And first reason that we want to be early. The second one is that we hope to have feedback from users in CDI 2 and perhaps provide a CDI 2.1 for Java EE8 if it's possible to fix a possible issue in the 2.0 specification.
Okay. Can you explain how CDI and Weld work together?
So CDI is the specification. So it's the part of the Java EE platform and the GCP process. And the specification is not an implementation. So we need implementation for a specification. So the reference implementation, so the implementation that proves that CDI is a valid specification is JBoss Weld framework. So framework Weld is an implementation of CDI. There is another implementation from the Apache community, which is called OpenWebBeans, Apache OpenWebBeans, and this implementation is used on Apache Tommy or WebSphere server, when Weld is used on JBoss EAP, Wildfly, and WebLogic server, and Glassfish, of course, server. But the relationship between CDI and Weld, CDI is the contract and Weld is the implementation.
Okay, you made me curious. What's cooking for CDI 2.0? Can you show us something?
Okay, so we have. I'm going to switch to show you some slide. Okay, there we are. So first point, as I said, is the addition of the Java SE support. So today CDI is only supported in Java EE server. We want to support CDI outside Java EE. Today, implementation of CDI, Weld or OpenWebBeans provides a way to be booted outside Java EE, but there is nothing at the specification level. So why do we want to add this support? The first reason is to provide a new means to build a stack out of Java EE. Some people did already things like that. I'm thinking about John Hammond's project called Amok, which is a stack built on CDI, Undertow server, and REST-easy JAX-RS implementation. So it's a small server using Weld as a container, working outside Java EE, and what we want is to provide a standard way to do such thing. And the other reason is to boost the CDI adoption, because today a lot of spec in Java EE provide Java SE support. It's the case for GPA, it's the case for JAX-RS. So these spec have in the specification level the possibility to be booted outside Java EE, but CDI doesn't have this feature. So there is an issue for them to fully adopt CDI, because when they go to Java EC, if they rely on CDI, they cannot have the CDI container on the Java EC platform. So providing this support will remove this limitation. Okay, so we have a lot of work to do the Java EC support, because there is a lot of Java EE stuff in the spec. We have to work on that. The second big thing we want to add in CDI is to add more modularity to CDI. CDI is is the big spec. There are a lot of nice things in CDI. We are planning to add new feature in CDI 2, and we want to think of a solution to avoid CDI to become too big. As it's written here, a Bluetooth spec. So the idea is to introduce the concept of subspec or parts in CDI. Again, the idea is to help third party to use a part of CDI without having all the stuff. The part that we want to introduce right now for CDI 2, it can change in the future. The first is the CDI Lite version. So it would be a kind of profile of CDI, providing only a basic dependency injection and eventing model, removing all the normal scope and the interceptor and decorator stuff. So in fact, the idea is to provide a specification that allow creating implementation without heavy stuff like proxy, things like that. The second part will be the full CDI, but without all the Java EE integration stuff. So we will provide all the CDI engine without servlet integration, GSF integration, EGB integration, and so on. And the last part will be the current CDI, so the full CDI with the Java EE and the spec integration.
And how will people actually decide which ones they want to use? Is that an import, or will that be part of the Java EE profiles?
Right now, it will be an import part. There are things similar in JAX-RS specification. You know, JAX-RS, there is a client framework and a server framework. You can choose to only use a sub-part of the spec, and if you have the right implementation, a sub-implementation of the whole spec. For instance, people that only use the dependency injection and don't want to have context management and so on could rely on CDI Lite. They will have something lighter. They will have a lighter implementation, and I'm thinking again of JAX-RS. Those people told us that they would be happy to use CDI, but our implementation, reference implementation like Weld, are rather big, and they would be more comfortable to have something smaller. So it's a way to go in that direction.
Okay, thanks.
Next, new features we want to introduce in CDI 2. The things I'm showing you here is not all the things we want to add. It's the major stuff we are working on right now. The first thing about eventing is to introduce asynchronous events. So there are a lot of discussion going on in asynchronous events right now on the mailing list of CDI 2 on the web. One of the scenario we are talking about would be this one. So we will add to the event interface a fire async method to trigger an event asynchronously and provide in a lambda format a callback for the event to be called at the end of the asynchronous treatment. I'm not sure it will be the final format because there are a lot of discussion around having all the event launch synchronously in asynchronous mode, so in another thread, or a thread created for all the observers. It will probably change in the future, but we really want to work on this aspect for CDI 2. The other aspect is to provide a possibility to order events. Of course, ordering events would be used outside the asynchronous mechanism. Today, you cannot decide which observer will be called in first, and you can have a predictable order of the observer. So we will use the add priority annotation coming from the command annotation specification to give order to observers. So it will probably be something like that in the code to order our event. We also plan to add some enhancement in all the interceptor and decorator stuff in CDI 2. For instance, add interceptor or decorator on custom or produced bin. Today, when you use a producer in CDI, you cannot add an interceptor on the produced bin or a decorator on the produced bin. We want to add this possibility. Also work on all the interceptor chaining, so to have better control of the chaining of interceptor, and also to support a self-injection pattern to be able to call intercepted or decorated method from the same bin. You know that if you are in a bin with let's say an interceptor on all the method, and you are in method A and you are directly calling method B on the same bin, the interceptor won't be triggered. That's the same for nearly all the dependency injection framework. We want to provide a way to have a self-injection in a CDI bin, something like that, perhaps not that, but something like that. So to have a self my bin of me injected and be able to call a method in the same bin, but through the self-injection to be able to have the interceptor triggered within the code. And I think we nearly are at the end. The other aspects are SPI and context enhancements. We want to provide a standard way for CDI boot. Today, each implementation can have its own way of booting CDI. You want perhaps to give more rules to be sure that things are done in a proper way for having something more standard. There is also a plan to introduce helpers to create all the metadata used in CDI to ease the creation of portable extension, and also the possibility to have a better control on built-in context in CDI, to be able to activate or deactivate context from outside, which would allow third-party framework to use our built-in context without having to redefine their own context, which is the case right now. And I think it's all for the moment. There are a lot of other stuff, but the big things are here. We are working on CDI 2. It's open to everyone, so you don't have to be part of the expert group to join CDI 2 mailing list and give your input or your wish or answer. You can join us on the mailing list on our research channel. All the information are on the website, cdispec.org, or if you want only to follow information, the @cdispec handle on Twitter will provide the information. And of course, the more we will be, the more we'll deliver for CDI 2. I think it's all for me for CDI 2.
Okay, and the complete spec is on GitHub, I guess.
Yeah. So you can find it. You can find it from the website, or if you want to go straight to it, you will yeah, here. So github.com/cdispec/cdi.
Okay, that sounds fair.
So yeah, you
I
have
mean,
all the
You know that I've been working in the Java EE space already. So one thing really bugs me about CDI. I mean, people always complain about the missing integration with all the other specs. You talked a little bit about that. What's your personal take as a more or less fresh guy to the specification itself? What should really change to make other specifications able to adopt CDI more broadly?
I think there are a lot of points for that. I think the first point, before going into detail, I want to say that I have more an end-user point of view than a technical guy point of view when I'm speaking here. And I agree with you. It would be better to have better integration of overspec with CDI. I think the first issue here is more a lack of information or knowledge on CDI. When you are working on your specification, it's not only easy to look to the advanced feature of overspec. And to integrate well with CDI, you have to understand all the life cycle of the manager, all the portable extension mechanism, which is not very obvious if you don't have a lot of time to put in that. We also have issue regarding the way Java EE applications are started. For instance, in a Java EE container, the CDI container is launched very early, and when the servlet part of the application is launch triggered, the CDI container is already configured and is already ready to be requested and is in read-only mode. So if you have a specification like, let's say again, JAX-RS, that would need to add bin to the CDI container, and this part of the application is up too late to add information to the CDI container, there are limitations to integration. So we also have to find solution either to have a standard way to boot a Java EE application, or for us on the CDI side to provide a way to change the content of the bin manager at runtime. There is a lot of discussion on this feature. There are a lot of people against and a lot of people pro this feature. To be to let over framework or specification decide to add new bin, new producer, new observer later after that all the CDI initialization is over, to be able to open the bin manager, add a bin or new definition, and enhance the bin graph model with their own stuff. The lacking of that, I think, is also a limitation for the integration. And the third and last point, I think, is the fact that it's not a Java EE issue, but more a Java SE issue or a light server issue. Today, the CDI implementation are rather big. Weld is running around 4 or 5 megabytes. It has big dependencies like Guava, Google Guava, and we have to work on a smaller implementation. So it's on its way. We have a new version of Weld without Guava, which rolled yesterday. So we have a lighter version, and the idea of providing parts with less feature but needed feature could be also a solution to tell, okay, you only want dependency injection, so you have this this subspec and this implementation, which is I don't know 800 kilobytes instead of being 5 megabytes. So I think there are a mix of all of this. So today we are working on all the aspects. I'm working a lot on material to give information to people that want to use CDI to develop a portable extension and so on. I'm working to a new version of the website with more information. We are working for CDI 2 to think about providing a way to add bin in the booting process of Java EE application, and we're also working on the side of the implementation. And of course, if people have other concern about the difficulty to integrate with CDI, we are listening and we are getting all the feedback.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for your time today. I look forward to CDI 2.0, and that was definitely a call to action for everybody out there. So whenever you want to see something changed in CDI, just contribute, visit the website, follow the Twitter handle, reach out to the guys on the spec. I mean, we're all people, so you can actually talk to them, and they are really happy to listen to your feedback. Thanks again, Antoine, for being my guest today. Have a productive day and talk to you soonish.
Thank you, Marcus. Have a nice day. Bye.